Hello everyone, DarkOfAllTrades here. Now my stance on religion is not really a secret. I am one of the most outspoken anti-theists in my city. Okay, maybe that is a bit hyperbolic. At least I haven't encountered many people willing to discuss beliefs from an anti-theist perspective. I know plenty of atheists scattered among the population of the very religious state in which I live. Without directly giving it away, according to a 2014 Pew Research poll on religious denominations, the state I live had the highest percentage of Protestant and Catholic population in any state north of the Mason-Dixon or outside of the Bible Belt. While I'm not always explicit about it, a lot of my content comes from this anti-theist perspective. Today, I want to talk outwardly from this perspective about a major problem I have with religion, of course excluding the claims ranging from unbacked assertions to flat-out falsehoods. This problem I see as a major underlying issue many, if not everyone, has to deal with here in the US, but I don't think it is limited to just this country. If you are not from the US, I am interested in if this applies to where you live as well. Throughout all of history, with every human belief system, few ideologies wield as much influence and shape as many aspects of society as Christianity. For centuries, the teachings of Mr. Jesus has guided the moral compass of billions, shaping political structures, cultural norms, and individual worldviews. Yet within the Christian belief lies a phenomenon that casts a shadow over the principles of equality, justice, and secularism: religious exceptionalism. Religious exceptionalism within Christianity is the belief that Christian beliefs and institutions are entitled to special privileges or exemptions from scrutiny and criticism. It is the assertion that Christian values should hold a precedence over secular principles, and that adherents of Christianity are deserving of preferential treatment in various spheres of life. This notion, deeply ingrained within the fabric of Christian theology and practice, has far-reaching consequences that extend to every facet of human existence. For this exploration, I'm going to deep dive into the depths of religious exceptionalism within Christianity from an anti-theist perspective, peeling back the layers of privilege and power to reveal the complexities and contradictions that lie beneath. From the annals of history to the corridors of power, from the classroom to the courtroom, I will shine a light on the consequences of privileging religious beliefs over secular values, challenging prevailing narratives, and advocating for a more just, equitable, and secular society. Today, I unveil the shadows of religious exceptionalism within Christianity, confronting the past, present, and future of this pervasive phenomenon with wit, reason, and a steadfast commitment to truth and justice. I hope this helps illuminate the path toward a world where reason reigns supreme, and where the rights and freedoms of all individuals are respected and protected, regardless of their religious affiliation. Religious exceptionalism, particularly within the realm of Christianity, has lodged itself intricately into positions of power and privilege of human history, positioning itself to grant itself a myriad of privileges, exemptions, and consequences. From the annals of antiquity to present day, the notion that Christian beliefs and institutions are entitled to special treatment has exerted a profound influence on political structures, societal norms, and cultural practices. Examining the historical context of religious exceptionalism within Christianity reveals a pattern of power dynamics, persecution, and perpetuation of inequality, a narrative that anti-theists cannot overlook. Throughout history, Christianity has wielded significant political influence, often intertwining with the apparatus of state power to establish theocratic regimes or justify imperial conquests. The notion of divine right, for instance, bestows upon rulers the authority to govern as God's appointed representatives on earth, legitimizing their rule and quashing dissent under the guise of religious obedience. From the Byzantine Empire to medieval Europe, the fusion of church and state enabled the propagation of religious exceptionalism, reinforcing hierarchies of power and privilege. Moreover, the historical record bears witness of the persecution of dissenting voices and alternative beliefs under the banner of religious exceptionalism within Christianity. Heretics, witches, and non-believers faced ostracism, torture, and execution for daring to challenge the orthodox Christian doctrine or deviate from the prescribed religious practices. The Inquisition, Crusades, and witch hunts stand as stark reminders of the consequences of religious exceptionalism run amok, leaving a trail of suffering and bloodshed in their wake. Even as societies transition from feudalism to modernity, the legacy of religious exceptionalism continued to shape legal and political systems, often privileging Christian beliefs and institutions over secular principles and individual rights. Laws granting exemptions to religious institutions, such as tax breaks or immunity from certain regulations, reflect the enduring influence of religious exceptionalism within Christian majority societies. Moreover, Christian lobbying groups wield considerable influence in shaping public policy, advocating for legislation that aligns with their moral convictions while disregarding the rights and freedoms of those who do not share their faith. The historical context of religious exceptionalism within Christianity serves as a cautionary tale, a reminder of the dangers inherent in granting religious beliefs undue privilege and power. From the halls of power to the streets of everyday life, the echoes of religious exceptionalism reverberate, perpetuating inequalities, stifling dissent, and impeding progress. As anti-theists, it is incumbent upon us to confront the historical legacy and challenge the prevailing narratives that seek to justify religious exceptionalism at the expense of secular values and human rights. In the arena of law and politics, the phenomenon of religious exceptionalism within Christianity assumes a prominent role, characterized by a complex interplay of legal privileges, exemptions, and political influence. Within the framework of Christian majority societies, the concept that Christian beliefs and institutions merit special treatment has profound implications for legal systems and political processes, often diverging from secular principles and individual rights. In the realm of law, religious exceptionalism manifests in various forms, including exemptions from certain regulations and preferential treatment for Christian institutions. This legal landscape presents a curious spectacle, where religious entities enjoy tax breaks and immunity from anti-discrimination laws, prompting questions regarding equity and fairness within the legal framework. The application of religious exceptionalism often results in a perceived imbalance, where secular entities find themselves subject to stricter regulations compared to their religious counterparts. The political ramifications of religious exceptionalism within Christianity are equally noteworthy, with Christian lobbying groups exerting considerable influence over public policy. This influence is palpable in debates surrounding reproductive rights, LGBTQIA+ equality, and science education, where Christian perspectives often dominate the discourse. The blurred lines between church and state in such instances raise concerns regarding the impartiality of governance and the accommodation of diverse viewpoints within the political sphere. Beyond the confines of legislative chambers and courthouses, the societal repercussions of religious exceptionalism within Christianity are multifaceted, impacting social norms and cultural practices. Discriminatory practices sanctioned under the guise of religious freedom perpetuate systemic inequalities, while educational policies privileging Christian beliefs over scientific consensus undermine critical thinking and intellectual inquiry. However, amidst the legal and political landscape, voices of dissent emerge, armed with wit and reason to challenge prevailing norms and advocate for a more equitable society. Anti-theists, in particular, offer a critical lens through which to examine the consequences of religious exceptionalism, injecting humor and skepticism into the discourse to provoke thoughtful reflection and dialogue. The exploration of legal and political implications of religious exceptionalism within Christianity underscores the need for robust scrutiny and analysis. By engaging in nuanced discourse and advocating for secular governance and equal rights, individuals can contribute to the ongoing dialogue surrounding religious exceptionalism, paving the way for a more inclusive and equitable society. Venture into the realm of societal norms and cultural practices, and one encounters the profound ramifications of religious exceptionalism within Christianity. Here, within the intricate web of human interactions and collective beliefs, the privileges afforded to Christian institutions and ideologies casts a long shadow, shaping patterns of discrimination, inequality, and cultural hegemony. In the social arena, the specter of religious exceptionalism manifests in the perpetuation of systemic inequalities, often along religious lines. Christian beliefs and practices are privileged, while non-Christian individuals and alternative belief systems are marginalized or stigmatized. This dynamic is particularly evident in instances of discrimination against LGBTQIA+ individuals, religious minorities, and those who adhere to non-Christian worldviews. Under the guise of religious freedom, discriminatory practices find shelter, perpetuating cycles of prejudice and exclusion. Cultural practices, likewise, bear the imprint of religious exceptionalism within Christianity. From the celebration of Christian holidays to the prominence of religious iconography in art and in literature, the influence of Christian beliefs permeates mainstream culture, often eclipsing alternative perspectives. This cultural hegemony reinforces the notion of Christian exceptionalism, relegating non-Christian voices to the margins of cultural discourse and representation. Moreover, within educational institutions, the privileging of Christian beliefs over secular or alternative perspectives poses a significant challenge to the intellectual inquiry and critical thinking. Science education in particular becomes a battleground as creationist narratives vie for legitimacy alongside established scientific principles. The promotion of religious exceptionalism within educational settings not only undermines scientific literacy, but also perpetuates ignorance and superstition, hindering the advancement of knowledge and understanding. Yet amidst these challenges, voices of dissent emerge, challenging the status quo and advocating for a more inclusive and equitable society. Anti-theists in particular offer a critical perspective, questioning the assumptions underlying religious exceptionalism and advocating for the promotion of secular values and principles. Through humor, wit, and intellectual rigor, anti-theists disrupt the narrative of religious exceptionalism, inviting individuals to reconsider the role of religion in shaping social norms and cultural practices. The social and cultural consequences of religious exceptionalism within Christianity are far-reaching, impacting every aspect of human interaction and collective identity. By engaging in critical reflection and dialogue, individuals can challenge the prevailing norms and advocate for a society that embraces diversity, equality, and secularism. Enter my area of expertise, the hallowed halls of academia, where the clash between religious exceptionalism within Christianity and the pursuit of knowledge unfolds. In this domain, the consequences of privileging Christian beliefs over secular or scientific principles become starkly apparent, with implications that reverberate throughout society. Within the realm of education, the influence of religious exceptionalism within Christianity is palpable, shaping curriculum standards and pedagogical approaches. Debates over the teaching of creationism alongside evolution in science classrooms exemplify the tension between religious doctrine and scientific consensus. By affording equal weight to religious narratives devoid of empirical evidence, educational institutions risk undermining the integrity of scientific inquiry and perpetuating misconceptions among students. Moreover, the promotion of abstinence-only sex education rooted in Christian moral teachings illustrates another dimension of the impact of religious exceptionalism on education. By prioritizing religious ideology over evidence-based approaches to sexual health education, schools fail to equip students with the knowledge and skills necessary to make informed decisions about their bodies and relationships. The consequences of such policies extend beyond the classroom, contributing to higher rates of unintended pregnancies, sexually transmitted infections, and reproductive health disparities. In the broader context of scientific inquiry, the influence of religious exceptionalism within Christianity poses a formidable challenge to the advancement of knowledge and understanding. Scientific research that contradicts or challenges religious beliefs may face resistance or censorship, hindering progress in areas such as evolutionary biology, climate science, and medical research. The privileging of religious narratives over empirical evidence not only stifles scientific innovation, but also perpetuates ignorance and superstition, posing a barrier to human flourishing and progress. Yet, amidst these challenges, advocates for science education and evidence-based policymaking continue to champion the importance of secular values and principles in shaping educational practices and public policy. By challenging the narrative of religious exceptionalism and promoting critical thinking and scientific literacy, these advocates seek to create an educational environment that fosters intellectual curiosity, skepticism, and respect for empirical evidence. The consequences of religious exceptionalism within Christianity for education and science are profound, shaping the transmission of knowledge and the advancement of human understanding. By engaging in dialogue and advocacy, individuals can challenge the prevailing influence of religious ideology in educational settings and promote the values of secularism, critical inquiry, and evidence-based decision-making. Step into the arena of healthcare and reproductive rights, where the influence of religious exceptionalism within Christianity casts a long shadow again, shaping policies and practices with profound implications for individual autonomy and well-being. Within this domain, the clash between religious beliefs and medical ethics gives rise to complex ethical dilemmas and challenges the principles of patient-centered care. Religious exceptionalism within Christianity manifests in various ways within the realm of healthcare, influencing policies and practices that prioritize religious beliefs over evidence-based medicine. One notable example is the phenomenon of conscience clauses, which allows healthcare providers to refuse certain medical procedures or services based on religious or moral objections. While ostensibly designed to protect the rights of healthcare professionals, these clauses often undermine patient autonomy and access to essential healthcare services, particularly in the realm of reproductive healthcare. In the context of reproductive rights, religious exceptionalism within Christianity has significant implications for individuals' ability to access contraception, abortion, and reproductive healthcare services. The privileging of religious beliefs over medical best practices results in restrictions on reproductive healthcare services, including mandatory waiting periods, biased counseling requirements, and limitations on abortion access. These barriers disproportionately impact marginalized communities, exacerbating existing disparities in access to healthcare and reproductive rights. Furthermore, the influence of religious exceptionalism within Christianity extends to broader healthcare policies, including those related to end-of-life care and medical research. Debates over assisted dying, stem cell research, and access to palliative care often reflect tensions between religious beliefs and medical ethics, with implications for individuals facing serious illness or end-of-life decisions. Despite these challenges, advocates for reproductive rights and patient-centered care continue to push back against the influence of religious exceptionalism within healthcare. By challenging discriminatory policies, advocating for evidence-based medicine, and promoting the principles of patient autonomy and bodily integrity, these advocates seek to create a healthcare system that prioritizes the needs and rights of all individuals, regardless of religious affiliation. The consequences of religious exceptionalism within Christianity for healthcare and reproductive rights are profound, shaping policies and practices with far-reaching implications for individual autonomy, access to care, and medical ethics. By engaging in advocacy and promoting evidence-based medicine, individuals can challenge the influence of religious ideology in healthcare and advance the principles of patient-centered care and reproductive justice. Enter the realm of freedom of speech and expression, where the clash between religious exceptionalism within Christianity and the principles of free inquiry and intellectual freedom unfolds. In this domain, the boundaries of discourse are tested as religious beliefs intersect with the existence of fundamental human rights. The influence of religious exceptionalism within Christianity on freedom of speech and expression is evident in debates surrounding blasphemy laws, censorship, and the stifling of dissenting voices. In societies where Christianity holds sway, criticism of religious beliefs or institutions is often met with accusations of blasphemy or sacrilege, leading to self-censorship and the suppression of dissenting viewpoints. This chilling effect on free expression undermines the principles of open dialogue and intellectual inquiry, stifling debate and hindering the exchange of ideas. Moreover, the privileging of religious beliefs over secular values in public discourse poses a threat to freedom of speech and expression, particularly for marginalized communities and dissenting voices. Religious exceptionalism within Christianity can be used as a tool to silence criticism, suppress minority viewpoints, and perpetuate systems of power and privilege. This dynamic undermines the diversity of perspectives essential to a vibrant and pluralistic society, stifling creativity, innovation, and social progress. In the digital age, the influence of religious exceptionalism within Christianity extends into online spaces, where social media platforms and digital communication channels become battlegrounds for freedom of speech and expression. Content moderation policies, algorithmic bias, and targeted harassment often intersect with religious beliefs, leading to censorship, deplatforming, and the silencing of marginalized voices. This erosion of digital rights and freedoms poses a significant challenge to the principles of free expression and open access to information in an increasingly interconnected world. Yet amidst these challenges, advocates for freedom of speech and expression continue to push back against the influence of religious exceptionalism within Christianity. By defending the rights of individuals to express dissenting viewpoints, criticize religious beliefs, and engage in open dialogue, these advocates hold the principles of free inquiry and intellectual freedom essential to the democratic society. Through humor, satire, and critical analysis, they challenge the prevailing narratives of religious exceptionalism and promote a culture of robust debate and free expression. The consequences of religious exceptionalism within Christianity for freedom of speech and expression are profound, shaping the boundaries of discourse and challenging the principles of free inquiry and intellectual freedom. By defending the rights of individuals to express dissenting viewpoints and engage in open dialogue, advocates for freedom of speech and expression play a critical role in upholding democratic values and promoting a culture of free expression and intellectual inquiry. While I've mostly been referring to issues that affect people where I live in the US, step onto the global stage, where the influence of religious exceptionalism within Christianity reverberates across borders, shaping international relations, human rights, and global governance. In this area, the clash between religious beliefs and secular values gives rise to complex geopolitical dynamics and ethical dilemmas with far-reaching consequences. The impact of religious exceptionalism within Christianity on the global stage is evident in debates surrounding human rights, religious freedom, and cultural relativism. In many parts of the world, Christian majority nations wield significant influence in shaping international norms and policies, often prioritizing religious beliefs over secular principles and human rights. This privileging of religious exceptionalism can lead to the marginalization of religious minorities, the suppression of dissenting voices, and the perpetuation of systems of oppression and discrimination. Moreover, the intersection of religious exceptionalism within Christianity with issues such as global poverty, climate change, and humanitarian aid raises questions about the role of religious beliefs in addressing pressing global challenges. While religious institutions may play a valuable role in providing humanitarian assistance and promoting social justice, the imposition of religious values on international aid programs can undermine the principles of secular governance and individual autonomy. In the realm of international relations, the influence of religious exceptionalism within Christianity can be seen in diplomatic relations, conflict resolution efforts, and peace-building initiatives. Religious conflicts and tensions, fueled by competing religious narratives and claims to truth, pose significant challenges to global stability and security. Moreover, efforts to promote religious freedom and tolerance often intersect with broader geopolitical interests, leading to complex ethical dilemmas and trade-offs between competing priorities. Yet amidst these challenges, advocates for secularism and human rights continue to push back against the influence of religious exceptionalism within Christianity on the global stage. By promoting the principles of secular governance, religious pluralism, and respect for human rights, these advocates seek to create a more just, equitable, and peaceful world. Through diplomacy, advocacy, and grassroots activism, they challenge the prevailing narratives of religious exceptionalism and work toward a future where individuals of all faiths and beliefs can coexist in harmony. The consequences of religious exceptionalism within Christianity for global governance and human rights are profound, shaping international relations and ethical discourse in the 21st century. By challenging the influence of religious beliefs on global policies and promoting secular values and human rights, advocates for secularism and human rights play a critical role in shaping a more just, equitable, and peaceful world. Among the challenges posed by religious exceptionalism within Christianity, voices of dissent emerged, armed with wit, reason, and a steadfast commitment to secular values and human rights. In this arena of resistance and advocacy, individuals and organizations confront the prevailing narratives of religious privilege and discrimination, advocating for a more inclusive, equitable, and secular society. At the forefront of this resistance are the anti-theists, individuals who challenge the legitimacy of religious exceptionalism and advocate for the separation of church and state. Armed with a keen understanding of history, philosophy, and science, anti-theists offer a critical perspective on the consequences of religious exceptionalism within Christianity, exposing its contradictions and injustices with wit and intellectual rigor. Through public discourse, activism, and advocacy, anti-theists seek to dismantle the structures of privilege and discrimination that perpetuate religious exceptionalism, paving the way for a more rational, evidence-based approach to governance and social policy. In addition to anti-theists, a diverse array of individuals and organizations join forces in the fight against religious exceptionalism within Christianity. Human rights advocates, secular organizations, and religious minorities collaborate to challenge discriminatory laws and policies, promote religious pluralism, and defend the right of individuals to hold diverse beliefs or none at all. Through litigation, grassroots activism, and public education campaigns, these advocates seek to create a society where individuals are free to express their beliefs without fear of persecution or discrimination based on religious affiliation. Furthermore, the resistance to religious exceptionalism within Christianity extends beyond the borders of individual nations, with global networks of activists and organizations working to promote secular governance, human rights, and religious freedom worldwide. By challenging the influence of religious beliefs on international norms and policies, these advocates seek to create a more just, equitable, and peaceful world, where individuals of all faiths and beliefs can coexist in harmony. The resistance to religious exceptionalism within Christianity is multifaceted, spanning grassroots activism, public discourse, and international advocacy efforts. By challenging the prevailing narratives of religious privilege and discrimination, individuals and organizations pave the way for a more inclusive, equitable, and secular society where rights and freedoms of all individuals are respected and protected. As I finish my take on the consequences of religious exceptionalism within Christianity from an anti-theist perspective, it is clear that the phenomenon exerts a profound influence on every aspect of human society, from the halls of power to the classrooms of academia, from the corridors of healthcare to the arenas of global diplomacy. The privileging of Christian beliefs and institutions shapes policies, practices, and cultural norms with far-reaching implications. Throughout history, religious exceptionalism within Christianity has been wielded as a tool of power and control, perpetuating inequalities, stifling dissent, and impeding progress. From the persecution of heretics to the imposition of discriminatory laws, the consequences of privileging religious beliefs over secular values has been felt by countless individuals and communities. In the modern era, the struggle against religious exceptionalism continues as voices of dissent challenge the prevailing narratives and advocate for a more inclusive, equitable, and secular society. Through humor, reason, and activism, anti-theists and their allies confront the structures of privilege and discrimination that perpetuate religious exceptionalism, paving the way for a future where individuals are free to live according to their own beliefs and values without fear of persecution or discrimination. In this ongoing structure, it is imperative that we remain vigilant and steadfast in our commitment to secularism, human rights, and the separation of church and state. By challenging the influence of religious beliefs on public policy, promoting evidence-based decision-making, and defending the rights of all individuals to express their beliefs freely, we can create a society that upholds the principles of equality, justice, and freedom for all. As we look to the future, let's continue to confront the consequences of religious exceptionalism within Christianity and work toward a world where reason, compassion, and empathy guide our interactions and shape our collective destiny. That's it for this one. So what did you think? Do you think that religious exceptionalism is a core problem for the country and its people? Or do you think that religion isn't a concern where you live? Let me know in the comments below. I recognize that the US, unlike some other countries, doesn't directly give tax dollars to churches, and that is a small comfort for me, but I don't think it outweighs the mountains of other problems religious institutions cause here in the US. What do you think? If you think this content is exceptional, you can show me by hitting that like button. Though you can help yourself get more information on how to resist the religious talking points by hitting that subscribe button if you haven't already. An extra special thanks to my exceptional patrons, Calamitous Anima, Sora, Long-Haired Lefty, Musical Ocelot, Ooga Booga Luga, Tarek Alkasab, Jamminbomb, Kai Henningsen, and Triple Tal, who demonstrate that education is the best social and cultural response to the problem of religious exceptionalism. If you'd like to be the response to the problems of religion, you can join them for as low as $1 a month at patreon.com/DarkOfAllTrades. As this list grows, we stand a little taller and a little stronger. Thank you for standing with me, all of you. And as always, keep learning.